You do not always feel guilty just because you yelled at your child. You feel guilty because in that moment, you saw a version of yourself that even you are afraid of. What hurts many mothers the most is not the sound of a child crying. It is the silence that comes right after they lose patience. It is the moment the house becomes quiet, but something inside them collapses. It is when they look at that tiny face and realize the child did not only hear volume, the child also felt the sudden coldness in the mother's eyes. There are days when everything begins with something painfully small. A spoon falls to the floor. A cup of milk spills across the table. A shirt takes too long to put on. A soft, repeated mom lands on your ears when your mind is already overstretched. And then you snap, not always in the dramatic way people imagine. Sometimes your voice is only a little sharper than usual. Sometimes your face hardens only a little more than usual. Sometimes your hand pulls a little more roughly than it should. But to a child, those little things are often not little at all. Then you go back to doing what mothers always do. You wipe the table. You pick up the toys. You fold the clothes. You answer messages. You ask your child to eat. You keep performing the role of a functioning mother. But inside you, a trial has already begun. What did I just do? Why did I talk to my child like that? Why does this keep happening? I love my child so much. So why am I still the one who hurts them? This pain does not feel like ordinary tiredness. It feels like shame with a pulse. It feels like you have betrayed the gentlest part of yourself. Many mothers are not most afraid of how hard parenting is. They are more afraid of becoming the kind of adult who once made them shrink as children. The kind of adult who made a home feel emotionally unsafe. The kind of adult they once promised they would never become. But life does not ask whether you are fully healed before handing you motherhood. It simply keeps placing weight on your back. Your child wakes up at night, so you wake up too. Morning comes, and you still have to get up. You still have to feed people. You still have to go to work or continue an unpaid shift of caregiving with no real break. You have to remember school schedules, vaccination dates, bills, meals, household items, your partner's mood, your child's needs, and somehow your own emotional regulation too. Then one small thing happens. Your child whines. Your child moves too slowly. Your child spills something. Your child cries at the exact moment you have nothing left. And the irritation rushes out as though it had been waiting for an excuse. Many people think a mother yells because the child is difficult, but very often that is not the deepest truth. It is not that you do not love your child enough. It is that you have been empty for too long. It is not that you are a bad mother. It is that your nervous system has become so overloaded that it cannot hold softness the way it normally would. It is not that your child is worse today than yesterday. It is that your emotional capacity is smaller today than yesterday. This is the part very few mothers are ever taught. When a person lives under pressure for too long, the body begins to react before reason can lead. Noise becomes harder to tolerate. Slowness starts to feel like opposition. Even a small interruption can feel like an assault. What rises in those moments is not always pure anger. It is stress response. It is overload. It is survival mode. It is a nervous system too exhausted to stay gentle. But society rarely interprets women's anger through that lens. Society is quick to label it toxic mother, unstable mother, selfish mother, a mother who does not love enough. And because you are a mother, you often learn to turn that same blade inward. You do not say, I am overwhelmed. You say, I am terrible. You do not say, I need support. You say, I am weak. You do not say, I have lived in stress for too long. You say, maybe I was never meant to be a mother. That is where guilt starts sliding into shame. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame whispers that something is wrong with me. And once a mother begins to believe that she herself is the problem, she no longer repairs from a place of clarity. She repairs through self-punishment. She becomes extra soft right after yelling. She buys things. She overcompensates. She tries to be perfect for the next few hours, as if goodness can erase rupture. But underneath, she keeps attacking herself. I am terrible. I am just like the person who hurt me. I am ruining my child's childhood. I do not deserve this child's love. The problem is that self-punishment does not create healing. It only creates more depletion, and depletion makes the next loss of patience even more likely. That is how the cycle is built. Overwhelm, snapping, guilt, self-hatred, more depletion, another explosion. Many mothers think the issue is their personality, but sometimes the issue is their life structure. You are not just mothering. You are mothering inside a culture that demands too much from women. You have to earn money or carry the anxiety of not having enough. You have to parent with updated knowledge. You have to stay gentle. You have to use positive discipline. You have to understand attachment. You have to stay calm through tantrums. You have to protect the marriage. You have to avoid losing yourself. You have to feed everyone well. You have to reduce screen time. You have to teach emotions. You have to look okay, all while having almost no place where you are allowed to fall apart. Many mothers grew up in homes where their own feelings were treated like inconvenience. They were told to be quiet, to stop crying, to calm down, to behave, to stop making adults tired, and then they become mothers. Those memories do not always return as clear scenes. They return as reactions. When the child melts down, you do not only see a child in distress, you also feel chaos. When the child talks back, you do not only see boundary testing, you also feel challenged. When the child needs too much, you do not only see dependency, you also touch the old emptiness inside yourself. So the body reaches for the oldest available defense. Louder voice, harder edges, more control, more emotional distance. This is why so many mothers know the theory of gentle parenting and still fail in certain moments. The problem is not always lack of knowledge. The problem is that knowledge does not automatically override a triggered nervous system. You may know that you should speak softly, but once the body enters alarm, it will choose the familiar path, faster than the wise one. You may know your child needs connection, but when your insides are full of noise, connection becomes hard to produce. There is a painful truth here. A child does not understand adult pressure the way adults wish they would. Your child does not understand financial stress, does not understand the fight you had with your partner, does not understand sleep deprivation, does not understand the invisible mental load you carry for the whole household. What your child understands is that your voice sounds colder today. What your child remembers is the look on your face that made them feel like a burden. And through those repeated moments, a child begins to learn the emotional weather of the home. They study your face before speaking. They listen to your tone before coming close. They become good not always because they feel safe. Sometimes they become careful because they are trying not to trigger adult discomfort. That is the emotional consequence many families fail to notice. Parents think they are teaching discipline. Sometimes what they are teaching is caution. They think they are building order, but the child may instead be learning to shrink in order to stay safe. The most heartbreaking part is that many mothers never intended to teach that at all. They love their children enough to go hungry for them, enough to sleep less for them, enough to give away their own comfort every day. They eat the cold food. They sleep last. They wake first. They remember everything. They hold everyone together. They keep the family from falling apart. But this very style of self-erasure also turns them into the person most likely to leak anger. Because nobody can give endlessly without depletion. Nobody can be pulled from every side and remain soft forever. Nobody can carry adult responsibilities and old wounds at the same time without cracking somewhere. So what a mother needs is not only a better apology script, she also needs permission to say something deeply human. I am tired. I am not okay in the way people assume I am. There are days when one more call of mom makes me want to disappear for a minute. I need support more than I need another lecture on sacrifice. This is not a defense of hurting children. It is an attempt to name the real source of the hurt. Because if you keep believing this is only about your bad character, you will keep trying to solve it with shame, and shame does not build a safe nervous system. A mother does not become gentler by hating herself. She becomes gentler when her life stops crushing her from every side. When she sleeps more, when responsibility is shared more honestly, when someone notices her overload before it becomes a harsh tone, when she no longer uses guilt as the only fuel for kindness, maybe the most mature thing a mother can do is not to never lose patience. Maybe it is learning to recognize the edge, recognizing it before the voice gets too sharp, before the eyes go cold, before the hand carries all the tension in the body, and when the rupture has already happened, then coming back, not pretending nothing happened, not calling it discipline in order to forgive yourself too quickly, not putting the blame on the child by saying, "You made me do this," but truly coming back, saying, "I was wrong," saying, "I was exhausted, but that did not make you deserve that tone," saying, "This was not your fault." Those words do not erase pain immediately, but they teach a child something precious. That love does not mean never causing pain. Love also means returning to repair what you have broken. That adults can be wrong and still take responsibility. That big emotions do not turn a person into a monster. What matters is what they do afterward. Repair is often more important than preserving the image of perfection. A child does not need a mother who has never failed. A child needs a mother who knows how to return early enough, who can apologize without destroying herself, who can repair without turning guilt into a performance, who can care for her own depletion before it keeps leaking through her voice. Maybe for years you have used a few moments of lost patience to define your whole identity. But a moment is not the whole truth. You are larger than your worst reaction. You are also larger than the impossible ideal of the perfect mother. You are a human being trying to raise a child while healing unhealed parts of yourself. Trying to protect someone else while learning not to abandon yourself? That does not make every outburst harmless. But it does ask you to see yourself through a fuller truth. And the fuller truth is this. Many mothers do not need more judgment. They need more sleep, more sharing, more real support, more breathing room, more honesty in how family labor is divided, more language to understand that their anger is often a distress signal and not only moral failure, more courage to admit that they are near burnout, more self-compassion to repair without self-destruction. Maybe mature motherhood does not begin with a vow that you will never yell again. Maybe it begins with the moment you look directly at the yell and name it accurately. This is not only a difficult child. This is not only my bad temper. This is a mother who has been tired for too long. This is a nervous system calling for help. This is a past that sometimes still speaks through my mouth, and I have to care for that part before it keeps hurting the child I love most. Maybe what your child needs most is not a mother who is calm all the time. Maybe they need a mother awake enough to notice when she is about to pour her broken pieces onto them. Humble enough to apologize, brave enough to change the way she lives, and not only the way she speaks. Gentle enough with herself not to turn guilt into a prison. And maybe that is where the psychology of a mother who always feels guilty after losing patience truly lives. Not in the idea that she loves too little, but in the reality that she loves deeply while carrying too much for too long. Not in the idea that she was born to hurt her child, but in the fact that sometimes she is trying to mother from a heart that has never been properly rested. So if today you yelled and then sat quietly in regret, remember this. Guilt is useful only when it leads to awareness instead of self-torture. Because a child does not need a perfect mother. A child needs a mother awake enough to return to herself before it is too late. And maybe that is where real maturity begins. Not in perfection, but in the ability to recognize your pain before it passes through the person you love most,